Retro gamers and gadget lovers, welcome back to Rate My Gadget. Today I'm diving into something very special and something that I loved growing up with, which is, if you're a Capcom fan, this will be right down your alley, the Capcom Super Pocket. Little handheld promises to bring back the classic arcade games, obviously Street Fighter 2, Mega Man, all those kind of things. But does it deliver on a promise? So let's find out. So we're going to cover everything from build design, quality, all those kind of things. If you want to see a comparison of this against other retro devices such as the Mini MiU and the RG35XX, please click on our other videos. So this device is in the £50 price bracket, which is pretty good, quite low. However, there are reasons that it's a little bit cheaper than its competitors, and I'll show you why. So let's start with the unboxing. The Capcom Super Pocket comes in a colourful retro themed box, and it also comes in this, whether you like it or not, I'm not sure if I'm a fan, but it comes in this bright blue and yellow. So it's got the real arcade vibe. Inside, all you get is the USB charging cable and a poster promoting other cartridges and games you can buy. That is it. First impression, it's small, it's light, it's portable. However, the build quality is okay. Plastic shell feels solid enough, but I think on these buttons on the back, it's a casual gamer rather than serious gamer. You can see that these buttons on the back, although there's 4 of them, they are flat to the body, whereas they're not on a knuckle and they are not regulated in any way. Again, the front buttons are okay. The D-pad's filled in the corner, but I wouldn't say that this is for any serious gamer. But then at this price range of £50, what would you be expecting? So design and build wise, so it has a 2.8-inch LCD screen, classic D-pad, classic A, B, X, Y buttons. Designed with simplicity in mind. You turn it on, the games are listed. There is no SD card or emulation available on this. You might be able to do it, but it's not sold in that kind of way. They're responsive, maybe a little bit stiff, but noticeably it's okay in fast-paced games like Street Fighter. But it's easy to carry around and fit into your pocket, and there's no doubting that this is a dedicated device for playing computer games, not necessarily a phone or emulator. The screen is bright enough for indoor use, and I didn't find any leaking. However, on some games, and I'm bringing this one up in 1943, you can see that it doesn't use the full screen real estate. Whereas if I go back to other games like Street Fighter, for example, that's obviously the one that it sells itself at. And in that game, it does use the full real estate. So with some games, even with the 2.8-inch screen, it does reduce the size on it, which is frustrating considering it comes with 12 games, and you would have thought the 12 games would use the full screen real estate. Now, on to the games itself. So the Capcom Super Pocket comes preloaded with a selection of 12 classic titles. We're talking Street Fighter 2, Mega Man, 1942, all those Capcom gems that will definitely hit you in nostalgia. To add other games in, you need a cartridge, which is just, in this case, the game's already built in. This is just a plastic cover. It's quite solid. They run smoothly for the most part. It doesn't have a great hardware, but for these classic games, it works perfectly. It handles well enough without any lag or stuttering. There can be some minor slowdowns here and there when you start loading up some of these games, but it's really not noticeable. Biggest downside, however, is the limited game library. You're stuck with the 12 games built in it. You can't add any more emulation. If you're a huge Capcom fan and you just want it for Street Fighter and other games like Mega Man, fine, that may not be a problem. However, I would argue for £30 more, the RG35XX or the Mini MiU Plus, which I also review, those two hold over 10,000 games preloaded. This comes with 12. That's a huge downside for this device. When it comes to battery life, the Capcom Super Pocket is pretty average. You get about 3 to 4 hours of playtime, which should be okay. That's not a problem, but it's not as good as others. Thanks to the lightweight design and size, it's incredibly portable anywhere, and the USB-C charger does charge it within half an hour. So battery life is fairly decent. So, summary, pros and cons. The pro is that the user interface is very simple. It preloads onto the game page and it's very user-friendly. Preloaded with the classic Capcom titles that you don't have to any additional cartridges. It's portable Depending on whether you like it or not, it could be a pro or con. They've gone quite nice with this kind of blue and yellow design. Here are the cons, however, and I'm afraid there are a few more cons than there are pros. The fact that you cannot load games on it via an SD card, it has to be via a cartridge, does let itself down. 128 megabytes of RAM, which is equivalent to other consoles like the Mini Miu, will let it down if you even did try and put heavier games in here. So I've not tried it with other cartridges on the top. The thing I really don't like, and it's a real bugbear, is the fact that some games, as I showed earlier on here, do not use the full real estate. I cannot understand why they've put a 2.8-inch screen. They've put 12 games on here, and of those games, half of them don't fit on the screen, and they've made it into a portrait style. It's frustrating, it's annoying. The other thing that lets it down is these buttons on the back. It's almost unplayable to be able to play like this. When I was playing Street Fighter, if anyone who knows the classic SNES configuration of the R and L buttons on the top, you would be using those effectively to do some of the high and low kicks. Yes, you can change your configuration, but this here is almost unusable. And to be honest, I'm not sure why they went to the bother of doing this, considering that most of the games are retro games, and therefore they would just need to know why they didn't put them up here, which would have been a lot better in the configuration of your fingers. Overall, the Capcom Super Pocket is a fun little device. If you're a fan of the Capcom games, and for £50 it's at the lower range, it's quite cost effective. However, the limited game selection, the limited real estate on some of the games in the screen, it may be less appealing for the hardcore gamers. And to be honest, for me, I would prefer paying £30 extra to have 10,000 games than having 12 and having to buy additional cartridges. I hope that's helped. Please do like, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.